I don't know 2/3 of the people in this room, which in itself blows me away. And I also am impressed by the density of entrepreneurs. I mean, you know, it's very atypical to put together an event like this and have the vast majority of the people in the room be real live entrepreneurs who are building stuff. So thank you for having me. I'm really quite excited about this group you put together.
Thank you. I think it's also thanks to you. I mean, you know, they didn't come see me. So maybe I'll start with the first question. Actually, like I read Fred's blog every day, and he kind of defines like what people talk about every day, which is really cool. And we also know like what he's thinking about, like what kind of companies they're looking for. But maybe let's give him a chance to tell us more about like these days. What are you looking for? Like, what kind of company do you want to find and discover and fund and give them money?
Well, you know, that's a hard question to answer, but let me just say that I want to invest in companies that are going to change the game in a big way. I don't mean necessarily make gazillions of dollars, although that would be great for all of us. But I mean companies that are going to really shake something up and make the sector that they're participating in work differently and work better. And I've written a lot about some sectors we're interested in: education, finance, energy and the environment, healthcare, government. Those are sectors that I think can get shaken up a lot by the technologies that we're all working on. We've been investing heavily in shaking up the media business for the past 10 years. I think we'll continue to do that. But I don't really get excited about investing in a marginally better, you know, incremental 10% improvement in efficiency or productivity. I'd like to see companies that really are changing the basis of competition in a market. And so that's a kind of a generic answer, but it's hard for me to be a whole lot more specific than that.
Okay, great, thank you. Anybody?
What's your typical deal size?
We don't care very much about deal size. The smallest investment we've made so far, I think, is $200,000, and the largest investment we've made so far, I think, is $7 million. That's one check going out the door at a time. We have investments that are as large as $10 or $11 million in their totality, and we have investments that are as small as a couple $100,000 in their totality. So we don't care about the check size very much, and we don't care very much about our ownership in the beginning. We do want to get to meaningful levels of ownership over the lifetime of the relationship that we have with companies, but we're not the kind of venture capital firm that has formulas. You can't, you know, my goal is that nobody should be able to figure out what makes us tick.
But you do focus on early stage, so it's usually Series A or
yeah. Although the $7 million investment was in Meetup, which is a company that's been here in New York for 5 or 6 years. We kept trying to invest, never could work out a deal with Scott that worked for him and worked out for us, and finally on the third try we made it happen. So we do later stage investments, but usually in companies that we've been trying to invest in before without success.
Sure.
Yeah, out of curiosity, how would you say that your blog and your online presence and, as I say, celebrity has changed the way you do business versus the way other VCs do business and changed your investment process?
Well, I like to change the game, and I think that that what I've done and other people have done, it's not just me. Our firm, I think, as a whole, has tried to do this. I'm probably better known than the other people in our firm, but we all try to be present on the web actively as much as possible. It gives us a different basis of competition, allows us to compete, allows us to tell people very clearly what we're interested in investing in, what we're not interested in investing in, how we like to invest, how we don't like to invest, how we like to behave, how we don't like to behave. And ideally what that means is that entrepreneurs will know in advance before they even come pitch us whether there's a high likelihood of getting a yes from us. And I think that it makes us ideally more approachable, and it makes us feel more human, and I think those are all really good traits in the venture capital industry, which is not known for being very approachable or very human.
I mean, do you think that, I don't know if we're allowed to follow up, but I mean, do you think that being online and engaging the community has helped you develop your investment thesis and have it change over time?
Oh, absolutely. So, you know, the comment threads that exist on the ABC blog, for example, can sometimes be 200 or 300 comments deep, and I read every single one of them. And I'll write something about, I wrote something about Flash, for example, and I got really hammered about it. You don't understand what's going on with this kind of technology, and you know, Flash is a proprietary technology, and it's and I actually, 2 or 3 of the people who were the most vocal about that, I took out for coffee, and I said, you know, I want to understand what I don't understand, and help me, you know, get smarter about this, and they did help me. I mean, and these are people who were really nasty, but I figured, you know, they obviously are passionate about this, so let me go learn from them. And they, I think, actually appreciated that I took them out for coffee too. So it wasn't the coffee, but it was the time.
You mentioned investing in disruptive stuff. You mentioned investing in media. Media is a crossroads. Everybody knows this. So what have you done?
What have I done?
What are you really interested in? You said that in sort of 2 breaths. You said disruption of markets, and you said heavily invested in media. So I'm curious.
Well, I think the internet takes power away from institutions and delivers it to the end user.
So do we.
And so I think in media that's happened more profoundly than any other industry. And I think the other thing that's happened as a result of the internet is that we really have a 2-way medium, not a 1-way medium. And so it's not about broadcast anymore, it's about discussion and conversation and interaction. And so we've invested in technologies and businesses that facilitate a more interactive, more people-powered form of media, and most of those investments are working pretty well as a result.
Good. We've got more for you.
Why don't we go down here a little bit? Go ahead.
Okay. You said you were interested in investing in game-changing products, technologies, but sometimes game-changing products are also behavior-changing. And I may be wrong. Correct me if I'm wrong. 2 months ago, Albert Wegberg was here, right?
Right.
And he said that you guys were not interested in behavior-changing technology. Was that Danny Schultz?
No, not exactly. He kind of said that, like, I'm just trying to quote him from memory. He said, USP doesn't go into industries where they're like gatekeepers and where a lot of behavior has to change.
Behavior.
Like
But game changing sometimes is behavior changing.
But he wasn't talking about like the consumer behavior, I think.
I see.
Well, I'll give you an example. We have an investment in a company called Boxy. Okay, Boxy makes a browser for your living room as opposed to your computer. And that's a game-changing idea. That's an industry that is dominated by gatekeepers, by content owners, by cable operators, by the consumer electronics business. And we thought long and hard about whether or not that was a prudent investment to make. And I still sometimes wonder whether it's a prudent investment to make, because there's a lot of people who don't want to see what Boxy represents become successful. But it is game-changing. If Boxy is successful, it will change the basis of competition. And we aren't trying to get the cable companies to necessarily adopt it. And so we don't have to go make deals with them to become successful. So that is one where, you know, we did decide to go into an industry where a lot of behavior has to change for the company to be successful. But we're not trying to sell technology to the cable companies, for example.
Follow up on Boxy. I mean, I think I read in your blog that there was a long process and the entrepreneurs kept pushing forward, right? So I'm curious about the story behind the scenes, like what made you change your mind from saying no, 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 no so many times to actually accepting the deal?
So there was the fact that the challenge that, you know, going into an industry which is so controlled by large, powerful corporations is always a scary thing for an investor. So I had to get comfortable with that. They came in with a hardware-based business model, which I just said, forget it, we're not doing that. And then, you know, underlying that was an open source software product. And I believe that open source is one of the most fundamental disruptive technologies, not technologies really, open source is a behavior, I guess, really. And so I really got taken by the notion that a open source platform that would allow people to essentially hack the TV business was disruptive. And in fact, last night they announced 120 different apps, most of which developed by a single person, that create effectively channels on the Boxy platform, and I think that is disruptive. So it took me a while to piece that whole thing together, and that's what the good entrepreneurs do, and there's a lot of great entrepreneurs in this room. They take no for an answer in the sense that they're not calling you the next week saying you were wrong, but they don't take no for an answer, really. So they keep coming at you with a slightly different, hey, did you see this? We did this. You know, you were right, and we changed this, or you were wrong, and here's why you were wrong. And they do it in a very tenacious sort of way, and that, I think, is very good.